Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Maureen, and this program is called Wise Up. And today I have a guest. So I would like to welcome Carl Campbell.
Good afternoon, Maureen. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to the program.
Oh, my pleasure, Carl. My pleasure.
It's always good to see you. Good to be here.
Yes, I think the roles have been reversed, haven't they? Because I've been on Carl's programs before.
Yeah.
And it was we had such fun. We laughed too much, actually.
That's right. And it was good. It was absolutely marvelous. Great. It was great having you. Yeah. It's good to be in a position like this, actually.
Yeah, you can relax. I noticed how relaxed you look back. He's even brought his slippers in, but you can't see that.
Thanks.
Not really.
Thanks.
Right, so today we wanted to talk about things we see, what's happening in the news of late, and there's been a lot of knife crimes.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
And
we were talking about some of what we've heard today, because you even mentioned one. What happened?
Yeah, there was one in Hansworth. The victim is actually from Hansworth Wood. So there was one today, and we know there was one in town about last week or the week.
Yeah.
Bus by the train station, coming out at the front of the train station, New Street.
Yes.
They call it Grand Central.
Yes.
So so there's a couple of them which has been very, very regular now, and we don't know why that is.
And we don't know why there is, and we wanted to just look at, we wanted to explore some thoughts around that, didn't we, really, and see what can be done to help, or what avenues are happening out there, what support mechanisms are put out there, and just trying to understand it really, because I know that, I dare say, the public at large are quite worried about this, because people are scared now to even go out really, because they don't know what they're going to face, because they're saying that a lot of these knife crimes aren't, there's nothing to trigger it. It's not even because they've had an argument or anything like that.
That's right.
It's just happened.
But where do you start? Where do you start finding the answer? Do we say education? So let's start with education.
Okay, let's start with education.
How do we do it? Because we're sort of running out of answers, aren't we?
We are, very much so.
If I go back to say when COVID was on, it's what's 5 years COVID now, or whatever COVID was, 2020, yeah. So we go back to COVID. Knife crime was on the rise then, or just before COVID.
Yeah.
It's on the rise now. We don't see any big fall, any big drop.
No.
We need to see big fall and big drop and say knife crime is going down, but it's not going down.
No, it isn't. And I think, like you just mentioned, COVID as well.
Yeah.
I think COVID masked quite a lot of things, because no one's looked at the effects of what COVID has done to people and their mental health as well.
Yeah.
It hasn't looked at those things. Nobody hasn't been supported to come through the trauma of that. Yeah. So we don't know what's under the surface of all these people who are carrying out these knife crimes.
And you see some, I've seen on the news and the mainstream news, you see some very, very big crimes. Yeah. And sometimes, and I'm not using this as an excuse, but sometimes you wonder if there's some underlying thing, mental thing going on there as well, with some of these people that is actually committing knife crime. And as I say, I'm not using that as an excuse or to sham it, because some of these crimes are very, very terrible. Yeah. But I wonder if there's an underlying trend going on there as well, mentally, with some of these people, or some of these younger people that is actually doing that.
And that, I dare say, that is a possibility. Because, all right, first of all, you mentioned like education then, for instance, So if we looked at education then, for instance, we could say, with education, do we find that the subject matters are teaching people, our young people, how to live, how to be resilient, how to deal with problems, or is it just things like maths, English, science, physics? What are the ethical things?
I think what it is: maths, English, science, and that's it. Because I dare say the teacher would say it's not their job to do that, or it's probably because we, and schooling is different from how it used to be. Yeah. And the morals and the disciplines and that sort of thing. So you go in there as a teacher, and I'm not dissing any teacher, you go in there, you do your job, and this is what I'm doing, maths, English, and that sort of thing, and I've done my day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So those are some of the, but as I said, we need to sort of get to the real problem of what is going on. The other thing as well, young people, I'm not, because knife crime can happen to anyone and anyone. Young people as well, they I think one other thing has happened, and this has happened a long, long time. It's been developing for years and years and years. But certain governments, they've listed, there's sort of youth clubs, you know what I mean? That sort of thing, where people could go, where young people could go and do different things, you know what I mean? And so I think the years ago, they start losing those a year ago.
That's
so
right,
young people,
that's right.
I'll tell you something that came to me the other day. I was talking to this guy, and he said to me, he says, the football is not on now.
Yeah.
I mean, this sound like I'm going off track here. He said the football is not on now.
Yeah.
He says, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. He says, can you imagine if there was no football match, what would we do? So I'm trying to say there, you see, what's happened to the youth clubs where people can go and do different things. So all those people who go to football match, it's a way to let off their steam, isn't it? So young people actually need to go somewhere to let off their steam, and a lot of the youth clubs has been closed down.
That's true. That's very true as well, because you know, we've got our governments who are saying, all right, then we've got to put money into prisons and put money into things that's not preventative. You know, it's after the fact. But like you said, if they focus on some of the after school clubs and the youth clubs and put some investment into those things, that would be a way forward of helping, getting those young people off the street, giving them something to do, building up networks, stronger networks. Because when you leave them out there to the predators, you know, people who know they're vulnerable.
That's right.
And get them into, I don't know, gangs and
all different kind of things, drugs, all different
you know what I mean?
things,
All those things, because it's almost like a sweet shop.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? When you make sure those people are full with all the good things, the sweet shop won't have no impact.
No, that's right.
And, you know, so these kids are quite vulnerable to the crazy world out there at large.
Yeah. And as you know, a lot of kids are actually very, very vulnerable.
They are vulnerable. They are vulnerable. You know.
Yeah, so
they're vulnerable to crime, and they're vulnerable to be victims of crime. So, you know, but something needs to be done. So the education system has a role to play. You know, we're not pointing a finger at one group and saying that's your fault. But the education system has something to do with that. And I remember we were talking earlier as well, and you mentioned another.
I did mention families, parents. I did mention parents, you know what I mean? And I know parents going to say, oh, you can't blame me for this or you can't blame me for that. And as I said to you before when we was having this conversation, I says, I believe you have to, I mean, you have to do it earlier, but I believe when your child is about from 9-year-old going up, you have to be knowing what your children are doing. You know what I mean? So you have to be aware of what they're doing, what they're getting up to, and what they are doing. Because a lot of it's called discipline. And I understand parents can be very, very busy. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got to run around to pay the bills. You know what I mean? So you leave your children here, you leave them in front of the television and they're gone, you know, not do what they want to do. So as I say, that is also is parents taking enough charge? Are they disciplining their children enough? Are they setting the rules down enough? I mean, when we talk about this now, it makes us sound really old because we was very well disciplined.
Oh, we were disciplined.
You know, we was very well disciplined. You know what I mean? So you know, and so So I think parents need to play probably a bigger role.
So do you find that, because I was, you know, some of these things you wonder about, like young children were giving birth to young children.
Exactly.
So you wonder, would the discipline be necessarily something that they would be wise to?
Of course I would.
You know, because sometimes that's not the case. They're so young, bringing young people into the world themselves.
Children having children.
That's right.
Children having children. So
sometimes that has an impact.
That's right. Of course it does. Of course it does. Totally.
And I suppose, you know, like you mentioned about parents always knowing what your kids are doing. Because I remember watching this film. I always blag on about it. It's called Adolescence, and it was about the parents who weren't aware what their young child was doing or into, and even the language that the young people were using, they weren't aware of it, you know. Exactly. And you know, I was thinking to myself, boy, can you imagine you're as a parent, you're working very hard, you're having to graft, and you've got to pick up on all the cues that these young people are into and have a knowledge of all what they're into and the computer system and all that. That's a minefield, and it's changing all the time. You know? So it's a very difficult thing for parents to manage
to juggle. Very lot of juggling to do.
It's a very lot of juggling. And the thing is, sometimes people, because sometimes we open a computer or even on our laptops, and we're looking innocently at an app or whatever you call it, and then all of a sudden something pops up. It's like, oh my goodness, you know, it captures our young people all the time.
I'm gonna say you hit the nail on the head there because the internet.
Yeah.
The internet.
Yeah.
The internet is good, but it's also bad.
Yeah.
And it's also got the dark web.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes,
Which people can actually lock into.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Young people can actually lock into
Yeah.
that. So when you've got your child or whatever at home or whatever, you don't know if they're on the dark web or they're not on the dark web.
No.
You know what I mean? So that is also another.
That's true, isn't it?
thing. Yeah.
And I suppose what they open up as well, they've got those, what can they call it now? Somewhat rhythms. Algorithms.
Algorithms,
that's right,
yeah.
That will pick up, they watch that a lot, or they like that, and then they bombard them with it.
That's right,
So
that's right.
it's very hard for our young people. Yeah. Very hard for our parents to navigate their way through things.
Absolutely.
So we're bringing it back to knife crime. So, yeah. But what do you think about the schools? Well, I remember watching on the news about a school that had I think it was a gate made of knives, and it was to encourage
I've seen it, to
people
deterrent.
to give their knives in.
okay.
Or you got the knife angel, haven't you? You said the knife angel with all the knives made up of knives. What do you think about those things as a deterrent? Do you think they work?
It probably works, but I think if you're into knife, as soon as you see that, you probably can't get another knife anyway. Because knife is easy access, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So you can get a knife. It's like the guys I know there's a well-known Brahmi who actually set up the bins for all that. You know what I mean? And I always think it's good doing that. But as soon as that bin is full, because you can always get knives anyway, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So it may help in some sense, but I don't think it's the ultimate of solving the situation of what is going on.
No,
You know what I mean?
I always think it's weird. I think it's weird, and forgive me if I offend anybody or anything like that. But if I'm a knife carrier and I believe in my knives,
Yeah, yes, your knife, innit?
am I really gonna?
No, yeah, and if
have
you
that amnesty?
exactly, no, it's
It
not.
just doesn't
it's,
seem
it's,
to-
no, it's not going to work, is it?
seem
It's
to
not.
make
It's
sense to
it's
me.
all right, and I'm not, as I say, we're not knocking anybody. It's all right doing it for the. It's all right doing it for the say. Oh, I'm doing this for the community, or we're doing it for the press, or we're doing it for the government, or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're not. So we're knocking anybody. But I say, you said it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You carry a gun. If I carry a gun, I'm always going to carry a gun. If you see what I'm saying, it's the same if you carry a knife. I'm not going to give up my knife.
No.
I'm still going to get. But it may. The other thing about that, it may, when you see younger people who's not into knife crime, or not got to that stage yet, they might look at it and say, "Oh, this is absolutely terrible." So we're not gonna. That is. I guess that is the aim of that. You know what I mean?
Or I suppose you have the children who feel, all right, there's bullies or there's people after school who I know will be coming for me, and I've carried this knife in, but you know what? I'll surrender it. I get that. But then there needs to be more support and protection than that. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be something, because there just needs to be more support, because kids feel that they have to protect themselves from others.
From what?
You know, so they're coming to school and they're feeling they have to protect themselves from others. No child should have to face that or worry about that. So what needs to be done to safeguard? You know, and I think that's something for the government.
And how did they feel to get into that situation? Where they're fearful. And I can only think that's come from some form of influence from somewhere, or you feel you have to protect yourself, going to school or whatever. So it must, or some pressure, or some gang, or some tiny thing that's going on around there that you're frightened you have to do that. I mean, I had a knife. The only thing I ever used a knife for was to peel my orange when I was a kid. You know, I cut fruits with, you know what I mean? But you never think of using it on everybody, you know what I mean?
I think things were different in our time, because when you had fights, there were fisticuff fights.
There was fisticuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, the odd knife would have come out.
The odd one,
but not where you see it. I mean, I recall being in a nightclub. I've been in the nightclub, and we was at, I probably was about very young at the time. I was in my teens, and I've been in the nightclub, and we was all having fun, and there was a fight. There was a fist fight, and then suddenly I got this white shirt on, and then suddenly I noticed all this blood was on me. My shirt was covered in blood there, And I thought, my God, what's happening here? And I said to my friend, what's going on here? What's going on here? And I looked, and it wasn't me, but it was the person that got done by the knife.
Yeah.
He bounces onto me while he was running,
get you,
and that's
and you
come onto my shirt.
Yeah,
So I'm saying there was still stabbing going on there, but
still,
it wasn't like we see it on the street now, or like every week or every month or every literally every once a week or something like that as we see it now. And it
is worrying.
It is very, very worrying.
It's coming closer and closer together all the time. You know, the repetition or the occurrence of it is quicker. It's often. You know what I mean? And it's nearer. You know, it's next door. You know, or it's on your road.
It's on your road. Isn't it? It's on your road.
Whereas before it would be a distant thing. You know, someone miles away.
Yeah.
But that's not the case now. You know, and everybody's having to watch their P's and Q's and be alert, because, you know, sometimes I say, even to my husband when he's going to work, I'll say to him, you know, your big headphones that you wear, you know, you need to give them up. Give them up, because, you know, you're not spatially aware, and you need to be, because you just don't know, you know, so you've got to be on your toes.
Let me ask you then, what about you as a woman traveling? Do you feel fearful, or how do you feel? How do you feel when you go, because how do you feel when you go around now, or you go on your street? How do you feel?
Right, well, for me, right, I always make a joke, you know, I always make a joke to my sister. I'll say things like, you know, people always says, Maureen is so calm and she lets nothing stir up, but nobody knows the stirrings over the, the angst I've got inside of me, or the anger, you know, because there's things you kind of keep it
you're
on
mellow,
the wraps.
you're mellow.
So I'm saying, if somebody came to attack me now, all the thing I've managed to contain, then have it unleashed on them. But that's a silly joke. But the thing is, for me, I just try and make sure that when I'm walking, I walk with purpose. I move fast. You know, I don't walk like I'm in a daze. I move fast. I make sure that I'm aware of what's happening around me. You know what I mean? If I see someone in my sight, I'm looking to making sure the distance and so on. And that's what I do. So I try and put in safety measures for myself. One thing I'm doing as well, right, which is funny, like sometimes when I'm coming out my car, I might have something in the back seat. So I'm leaning in to pick it up. And I says, Maureen, that's a
don't lean in, because you don't know what's going on.
Because once somebody grabs you from that angle, you're a gunner. So it's just being mindful of the things you do to keep you safe. And that's as much as you can do, because anything can happen at any time. You know, so I try not to be too overly fearful, or you'd stay inside your house and you'd never come out.
What about streets? What about streets that you walk down? Let's discuss streets. Certain streets, certain places you probably live. Would you go say walk there now? Would you go shopping there now? Are you still on the ground or whatever at certain places that you may have lived, or may have changed? How do you feel about that?
I'll still walk.
Because I still go to certain places.
I still go to certain places.
I still go to my even if I don't live there no more, I still go to certain shops, places where I used to live, because I'm used to that. And I'm not fearful of that. But I could take you back to a time when I could leave Birmingham city centre town, and I lived in a certain part of Birmingham, and I could actually, at 12 o'clock at night, I could actually walk on my own, and I could go straight to my house, and there would be no problem, and I was never fearful. There have been 2 riots where I used to live, right? And I was still never fearful. And it shows you how time has changed. You know what I mean? And my friends who I was actually walking with, sometimes I'd go that way and they'd go another way, because they live a different section. And nobody will touch it, and I would never ever fearful. And it's not because I'm into something or I'm not gang leader. Because as soon as you mention that, you know, as soon as you mention things like that now, people start thinking, he must have known them, you know, they must have known him. Let me get into that now. He must have known them, or he must have into something, you know. You know, people on social media, he must have known them, you know, him to something, he must do something.
He's a bad guy.
He mean a gang.
He's a waste man.
So it's not because I was into it. It was just how it was. It was just how times has changed so bad.
But I suppose you've got to look brave. Even if you don't feel it, you've got to walk and look brave. Because I think But if people are going to, I know that some people attack you for just attacking your sake.
Yeah.
But if there's a purpose for it, if you look brave and look like, you know, you're not scared, you're moving with a purpose, I don't think you attract that much attention.
Yeah.
If you're looking like worried and that, I think it's more risky.
Yeah.
It's more risky.
Well, when I
could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, or put in your comments.
No, I think you're absolutely right. When I go to like the city centre, there's a place in the city centre where I used to park regular. I don't park there anymore.
Yeah.
I always feel confident walking around there and go into this part there, go into the city centre. I'm talking about sort of a little part, not the whole part of it, a little side of Digbet sort of town. I used to park around there, like there was a big warehouse around there.
Yeah.
Well, I used to park around there. And, but I'm aware of not parking down there now because it is a good walk if I want to get up into the city centre.
Yeah.
And I used to be quite comfortable walking around there. But now I'm mindful of walking there anymore. You know what I mean? I'm mindful of walking anymore because and it's probably because we are getting older. We are a bit more.
Exactly.
We
can't run as fast.
I don't know about you. I still can.
I can't. My knees won't let me. You never know with fear. You might. Yeah. So. But it's best not to take risks.
No.
If you don't feel safe, and sometimes we have to go with our gut feeling. If we don't feel safe, don't use bravado and think, "Well, I'm going to go there," because just stay away.
That's right.
Stay away because life is too precious, really, isn't it, to dice with. But yeah, we were talking about mental health because you said earlier that maybe some people are going through mental health issues and stuff like that that's not been picked up on. And I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking, with all the reductions or the government funding that's not going into mental health anymore, or resources are being dwindled down, and I remember them saying that they were releasing people or letting people go off without treatments and stuff like that. And I was thinking, how can you work that out if you have more people who have mental health issues that's not being dealt with out living, and they're at risk?
Absolutely.
That's not a good place to be.
It isn't.
People want to feel safe, and people need to be protected and looked after. People with mental health need to have that protection themselves. So that's kind of worrying for me. And not just that as well, with the prisons as well. Weren't they letting out people early because they were saying that the prisons were full enough? I'm thinking, I was scratching my head when they said that, because I thought, this must be a dystopian dream or something, because they're letting out prisoners sooner, and there was no plan in action of how to safeguard. There were no safeguards put in place. I couldn't understand that.
What about communities, local communities? What are they doing? What are local communities doing? Because it's always say government, but communities need to take it to the government, because we're street level, aren't we? When we say community level, we're street level. My government is up there, as you know. So we're street level. So communities, what are the communities doing? The different organizations. I could even say churches.
Churches. There are churches who are doing things.
Yeah, that's what because
I won't mention their names.
But I have to ask this question: what are churches on different organizations in the community at ground level, where we talk ground level? What are they doing?
Yeah, some churches are doing things like that, because I do know some people who are involved in engaging young people and talking to them and are at the crux of the crimes. You know what I mean? They're there in the middle, and they're working with police and stuff like that as well. So there are groups, small pockets, but there needs to be more, and there needs to be more awareness of that, because I dare say sometimes there probably are people who want to help, but they don't know how to help. There are communities who probably want to be a part of things, but they don't know how to do it. They don't want to go into the deep depths of the crime world, because that's not their thing. But little bits, they'd probably want to engage, but they need to be shown how to do that, I suppose.
So what we need, then you try to ask. So what we need, then we need more local organizations for what we talk about, youth clubs or youth organization. Pump into that to make young people more active, to be doing different things. You know what I mean? So and they're getting the training to sort of moving away from to train, not to get involved in knife crime, to be occupy their energy with something else.
I suppose it's about how do because sometimes it's about people's angers as well, and even trauma. You know, even trauma plays a part in that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not dealing with because sometimes we treat the symptoms, don't we?
That's right.
And not the cause.
And
And
not
we
the
need
cause.
to look at.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we always miss. We're always treating symptoms,
And not
but
the
never
cause.
causes.
Yeah.
And we need to start looking back at that, because that's where the money needs to be invested as well.
Yes.
Because when we deal with the symptoms, we're forking out more money, and it's almost like it's dead
And
money.
we're not, yeah, it is dead. It is dead
know,
money. You said it.
that's
It
it.
is dead money.
Because it's
Yeah.
going to resurface.
It's mass the situation, mass the
That's right.
situation.
That's right.
Totally.
So we've covered quite a lot of ground here, you know. We've looked at deterrents, you
Yes.
know, in terms of, you know, what can be done and where some of the investments need to lie. We talked about the schools, you know, education, what are they doing to support, you know, children. We've talked about the situation with the COVID and the impact that had, and how that probably hasn't really been addressed and supported, where people are having mental health issues.
Yeah.
We mentioned the police as well, didn't we? We
Yeah.
didn't talk about universal credit. I put that down, but I thought I'd leave that out for now. Because that pushed a lot of people out of their homes, out on the streets,
Yeah.
drug people taking substances, abuse and stuff. And the criminalities that come around that as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I dare say, you know, knife crimes probably fits into all those scenarios.
There's another thing we've actually missed is we've actually got young people who actually lives in home. They got no family.
Like
They got so they you know what I mean, they live somewhere else and they get involved with different people. You know, it's the same with drugs. I mean, it's the same thing with we see the big story of grooming gangs up north.
Yeah.
You know, we see a lot. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of these young people are living in homes, living on their own, living. You know, they got no family, they got no, so they're living at home. And this attracts the grooming gangs.
It does, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think it's exactly the same thing with knife crime as well. You know what I mean? It attacks the homes, not living anywhere, living in homes, and you know what I mean? And obviously, some homes will do a good job, but you know what I mean? We know the story there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's true, really. I think all those elements need to be looked at under a microscope and see what are we really doing, and is it of benefit, and where can we plug the gaps? Because there's supposed to be prevention.
Yeah.
You don't wait till it's happened and then you're putting in things. Oh, we need to do this. You're missing it.
That's right. That's
You're
right.
missing it.
Totally. You're totally
So
right.
we've put the worlds to right now, haven't we?
Yes, we've done it. Thank you very much.
Well, you know, I think we've pretty much nearly come to the end of our conversations, haven't we?
Okay.
So, but the thing is, and I'll just plant this one there, and it's kind of controversialist, I suppose, is about, like, you know, some of the crimes the faces that we've seen on the TV, you know, the crimes and knife crimes that's taken place. There seems to be a lot of young black men who are doing that. And I remember speaking to a white colleague of mine who said, you know, it's not just black people or black gangs. There are white gangs as well.
Of course.
But you don't see them feature. So what is
that's
that
right.
about?
That's right. I mean, one of the biggest, a prime example is one of the biggest places for drugs in Europe is up north,
Okay.
Scotland, Glasgow.
Okay.
And yet, I mean, there's a lot of what you call white people up there.
Yeah.
They never get mentioned. There's another thing I've noticed over the years that is actually going on, and as you say, when you see certain crimes, as you say, there's always sort of people of color, and it's like no sort of, you know, the other race. It's like they're not committing any crime, and they don't show that. And I think that actually comes from where I said that's a you know, that big country. I think we start seeing it there first, and it sort of comes over. So they always sort of, you know what I mean. And I think the media as well ties into that, you know what I mean, because they've got their own little thing that's going on there. You know what I mean. A lot of these so-called big press or these big organizations, they've got their own little thing that's going on there. You know what I mean. Okay. It's all the people of color that's committing the crime, you know. Nobody else is committing the crime, which is absolutely ridiculous.
It is. Or the migrants who
Or the migrants
over.
are coming out, is committing the crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's one that they talk about, which I'm not disputing doesn't happen. There was when they talk about rape and the rape things and all these migrants coming over and raping women, and I'm not saying that is not happening.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, what I want to ask is, where was all these people, doing what they're doing? Where was they in the 70s when the rape crisis organization was being setting up, and all these people who was fighting still are. You can go to any Red Crisis Center, you know what I mean, and you see what is going on there, you know what I mean. So where was all these people? So they seem to, as I say, they always seem to be portraying people of color that is highlighted in the news. Now everywhere you see now, when you put my television now, you don't see any other people committing crime. It's all in people of color.
Yeah, and it's true because crime has no colour. Well, crime is everybody.
Of course, it's everybody. Of course, it's
everybody.
Of course, it's everybody.
They should be fair because it creates an imbalance.
Yes, it does.
In terms of how people view things
and
the hatred.
And what it does, it creates a situation. Oh, I'm better than you. Look at them. We're better than them because we don't do this. That's what it does. That's the bottom line of it.
Yeah, and you've got to keep it real. And we don't want people to feel fearful.
No.
Of one group of people when fear is in everything, really, isn't it? It's like you just got to be careful because everybody can do that kind of crime.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So yes. So thank you for that insight.
It's been a pleasure.
You can come again. You behaved very well.
Oh, thank you. I will do.
Yes.
I'll see you soon.
So thank you, Carl, for coming along and us having this great conversation. And I know people have been watching and you may have had things to say, and we hope you put your comments in as well because it's so vital to hear what you've got to think. And if you feel like you could have added something of difference, it's so important to hear what you've got to say, and even for options or outcomes or things that we missed that you think this could be done differently, let us know. And I'll allow Carl to say what he used to say. What's that thing?
What's that?
Like, subscribe. What's it?
Oh, like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you very much. That was us from Wise Up, and I hope you had an interesting viewing. So thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. All right, for me. Bye from.
It's been fun.
Carl.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Catch you soon.